Well, hey there everyone, it's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike and I do bees. Welcome back to Southeast Louisiana. Folks, I'm out here just still getting it done, just doing stuff. All I'm doing today is weighing all the ones at home and getting some feed all prepared. I am gonna start feeding. I've got 2-to-1 pre-mixed turbo feed from Hilco that I can use. I can pour that up into the buckets, really get them bulked up. Any of the light ones, and there was only 3 out there that were light. One of them, we don't even know if they got a queen. And I got that nuke, so we'll see what I do. If they haven't went laying worker, we'll throw that nuke on top. And that swarm I caught, which I think is from one of them, it could have been from that one. Anyway, just miscellaneous tasks and goals today. That's all we're doing. It's the boring time of the year where we're just doing chores. Let me get back here. I'm just walking around. I love to come look at the bees and see everybody flying. They're flying pretty good today. They're really, the other side of the yard, I was weighing some of those, and man, those bees were, because they sit directly in the sun. Like there's no shade in front of them for the first part of the morning, and they absolutely are going crazy right now. Just flying, looking and flying and consuming. But those hives over there are super heavy. They're bulked up. 2.5 months and we're working bees again, folks. This bucket was laying around. It had some syrup in it left over with some Hive in it. And it was a 1-to-1 mixture, maybe a little thicker than, no, it's about a 1-to-1. So I put this bucket on just to kind of throw some feed on them because they were light. And the goldenrod had just wrapped up. So I wanted to get rid of this bucket. It was in the shed. So I said, well, let me throw it on there and feed this hive. It's a little bit lighter. And look, I weighed them this morning, and between the goldenrod and this bucket, they did well. They've put on some weight, so they should be good. That's a 2024 queen. So what I'll do in the winter is I'm gonna go back through and clean these off, put the year queen, of course the hive, and what date I clear them off, and I'll be able to measure how heavy they are. And I'll fill just that out, and we'll start from scratch for the year. If there's any critical notes that need to be left, I'll throw them on there. You know, like if it was a certain swarm from a certain area or things I like to trend. You drank this thing dry. I've never had a pail completely dry. Wow. And then when it was done, it properlized the holes. Bees are so cool. What a beautiful day. A tree fell across my path. I definitely have to get this cut up and out of my way. It's my beekeeping path, my cut through. So I will throw a quick makeshift veil on, because when I start picking up and popping hives loose off the stands and shoving boards under them, they can come out and get ugly if they want. Nice. This one's got a super, it's got to come off. Good gracious, that's heavy. Those supers will come off pretty soon. That's it. I know this nuke used to be chakra block full, and it still is. Nice. This one takes a special panel. It's not that one. Here it is. This goes in the Hilco bottom board. This is a Hilco bottom board. If it's, see, that's getting them going. It's hitting something. There it is. Ooh, they're coming out. See, they're after my head already. That didn't take long. Ouch. And that, my friends, is why I got my veil on. Oh, that's heavy. Oh, that's heavy. They're rolling out. Ah, yeah, they're stinging me now. That got them going. But we're gonna leave them alone. They're all heavy. Is this one? This is solid, I think. I've really gotten good about getting solid bottoms on. And again, I'm not bashing screens. It's not for it's everybody's own preference, what they're doing in their colonies, why they have them. Golly. I guess if I can't pick it up. Oh yeah, that's heavy. These ones at home, most of them are heavy. And that one that I put a bucket on is about the only one that's really not. And I've got some singles that are probably not. But most of the doubles should be really heavy. I left a lot of honey in them. This one here. And this one. This one. So let me finish these up. Go find that one. Oh, I didn't weigh these. I'm gonna weigh them all. Let me put all the boards in and I'm gonna weigh them. And we got something else we gotta go do. So let me cut the camera off. This is all the same thing over and over. All right, threw a little jacket on here. Found two very, very light ones. One's a single. Well, both of them are. And I knew that, and I think I'm gonna have a couple singles out on the pallets that are light, which is normal. And I've got some 2-to-1 that I'm going to mix. It's already pre-mixed turbo from Hilco. And we're gonna grab a few pails and throw them on there. But I'm gonna go ahead and configure these singles. One's very weak. It was one we reduced down, tried to save it, and so far it seems somewhat okay. But I was gonna put an in-frame feeder in it, but in hive, I said, nah, I'm gonna go ahead and just put a top feeder on it. I'll show you the kind I'm gonna use. So I don't know what shape this thing is in. It was super weak at one time. Oh, I didn't have my hive tool with me. That's all right, we can go without a hive tool. We can make it. Let's see what these bees are like and what their temperament is. So you might also say, well, Mike, why you wait so late to feed? Well, I tell you folks, I guess because I could. I always wait till the goldenrod is over. It's just what I do. Yeah, that's a nice cluster with a bunch of beetles. Cool. A lot better cluster than we had. It's better than it was. They grew. That's good. They're super light though. Boy, if you ever needed a hive tool. I saw some beetles, but hopefully the majority were in here. Oh yeah, we're trapping beetles. Good. That's what we want. Oh, diatomaceous earth is still in good shape. We'll mix it up a little bit. Yeah. So they got a cluster right there in the middle, and they're out to about 4 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 6 frames of bees. That's a definite improvement over where we were when we reduced them. Because they kind of reduced down, and then they just seemed to not... They seemed to just not get any momentum. And like I told y'all, I don't nurture them. I gave them what they needed to succeed, and it looks like they might have succeeded. So all we're going to do is give them some 2-to-1, and I don't want to feed them a whole bucket, so I'm going to use this top feeder. I think back in the day, Brushy Mountain used to supply these, but then, of course, Brushy Mountain's gone these days. And they're pretty cool. I think Lyson has them now, but you can pop these holes out and make a candy board in it. And then it comes with plugs, which I have no idea where any of my plugs are because I don't use candy boards. But then you put them plastic plugs back in and you can fill liquid feed. And the feed goes under here. Make sure it's clear. The bees go underneath there, or the feed does, and the bees come up through the holes and they drink. So the only thing is, with these, of course, you do have to place a box on them, and that's fine. And that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna come back with feed a little later. I'm gonna pour up. I'm only gonna put about a half a gallon there at a time, since it's such a small colony and they're not super strong, and you know, just don't want to put a lot in there. I'm not gonna put a supplement in there while they could use it, I don't want to create that smell in the yard at this time of the year. You know, if I was feeding all the colonies, it'd be different. But we don't want to feed just one and have them go crazy and rob it because it's weak. This is the other light one. So we're going to do, this one was strong. We're going to see if we can break it all the way down to a single. I'm not terribly worried about wax moths right now. And this is one of those supers that I'm storing, meaning it's being stored because it had brood in it. And I don't know that they'll be up in here that heavily. Yeah, they're not. There's an excluder on here. I hate doing this to my knife. I need to go back and get my hive tool. Yep, they're about down to their little cluster now. I see a few beetles. Not a bunch. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another 6 to 7 frames of bees in this one. Same way. And the only reason I'm taking this off, I want the super off because I don't want them to fill that with sugar syrup. The bees are coming up. So yeah, this had brood in it, see? So I'm storing it away from the wax moths and the bees are taking good care of it. Get the bees out. Ooh, look at the beetles in there. Yeah, they're all coming to the top now. So about 6 to 7 frames of bees in here. And that top super had 15 plus beetles. So good thing we're taking that off now. Get these bees off of here. Now that I have the beetles off, we'll shake the bees in. I told the beetles to go on home. And what I'm doing with this, there was a time when I was going to have holes in every one of my tops, and I didn't. I really need to scrape this off. I'm going to go get my hive tool, folks. Okay, yep, quick run. Couldn't find my other one, so I grabbed my Hive Alive. Pretty cool, bright colored. I need to keep that more often than not, so we can maybe keep up with it. But we got to clean this off, because I got to get this down to... Come on, get out the way. I gotta get this down where the lid will seal. Oh, that's some tough stuff. Come on, stay down in there for a little while longer. Almost got you clean. Oh man, that's some tough stuff. So I want this lid to be down tight. You know me, I'll sit here and save every little bit of wax. This is not their normal lid. There we go. I got something for that. You got to replace these every so often. They dry rot, but that one will make it long enough. We're going to throw a bucket on there later today. All right. That's what we do. Check these last few hives in my yard. Everybody else is heavy. So far, I think I'm going to run into a few singles that aren't, but we'll remedy that soon enough. So we're going to crack these real quick and see how heavy they are. This one should be heavy because I did that combine on it with plenty of honey in it. These bees are doing, we'll just say okay. Now you notice there's only one here. That other one didn't make it. Just refused to requeen. Should have just shook it in the first place. That's what I normally always do. I tried to overthink it. Wasn't meant to be. Bad genetics. I won't be picking up swarms from there any longer. And I'm not super pleased with this colony. Oh gosh, yeah. They're plenty heavy. The question is, do they have any bees in here? Plenty of beetles. I want to show you how many are in this trap. Look at the beetles in here. This hive don't look bad. I need to put some smoke on them. I didn't give them any smoke, and they're kind of... I want you to see these beetle traps. Golly, Robert. Look at the beetles. Matter of fact, it's ineffective at this point because I need to give it more diatomaceous earth. There's so many beetles in there, they're walking on the tops. Oh my goodness. Same with this one. My goodness, it's hundreds. If we didn't have these in here, I'm afraid they wouldn't be strong enough to overcome it. Look at the beetles. This is insane. I'm gonna refill these. The sheer number of beetles, and there's probably a couple hundred beetles in these traps. They got a few crawling, trying to fly, but that's a lot of beetles. Don't sweat the ones that are crawling. I'm gonna go refill these. I should have brought some with me. Oh man, I didn't plan to open them though. Let's go ahead and weigh these over here first. I think these are gonna be light. They got some weight. More than I thought. That's good. More than my other singles. But these also weren't full grown hives. These were nukes that had a lot of weight on them to begin with. I don't know. They got some weight to them. I'm happy. Wow, good deal. So hopefully they're good, because they seem like they're heavier than I thought they would be. All right, I'm gonna put these back in, and then might experiment with some of them Hive Alive baggy feeders and see what they do. Plus, we got to get some 2-to-1 on. Let's take a trip down the road real quick and go play with these Hive Alive feed packets. I think this is something that would be neat to have on hand at all times. So I'm gonna give them a try. I think I got them with me. Yeah, let's get down there and see. All right, folks, I deemed this one to be a little bit light. I believe this is one. Let me check my notes. Yes. And I'm gonna try this stuff. Hopefully it doesn't cause any robbing, because it does have Hive Alive in it. But we're gonna find out. Lots of bees up here. So let's try this out. Let's see what it does. Come on, bees, you gotta move. So, let's take our sharp object and poke some holes in it. Oh, I hear them down in the bottom. There's a hole. Might take a little getting used to it. Now, I've seen Ziplocs where you just cut a slice in them. Like that. There. Well, we're going to see what happens. Well, I put the lid on, and it really doesn't sit good and tight, so I don't want to create a robbing situation. So I took it back out. Now, it's just a 2-pound bag of feed, and it feels like it's thicker than 1-to-1. It really feels like it's thicker than 1-to-1. I didn't read the box. Maybe I should. So I'm at least, which I'm not being asked to do this by Hive Alive. I just, you know me, I like Hive Alive. But I'm going to look at the box. I need to bring other shims out here. These lids have a 1/2-inch shim built into them, but that's not enough. So it's a 2-pound bag of feed. It wasn't going to make a huge difference on them, but I did want to continue to stimulate the smaller and lighter hives if I need, if I could. It's just called a super syrup. So it is inverted sugar. It does have the seaweed, the seaweed meal, the thymol, the lemongrass. I'm looking at the box. It's got all the nutrition on the side. It doesn't say if it's a 1-to-1, but it feels like, or a 2-to-1, but it feels like a really thick syrup, which is good for them. It's 2 pounds I could add, but is it going to make a huge difference? No, not like feeding a gallon. But I just figured throw a sack on there, supplement them, throw another sack on, supplement them again. But I'm going to need to come back and put them on with shims, and I might do that next week. These are the bees that seem queenless, but it was almost like it was an orientation flight going on out front, and now it slowed down. But there was no brood. There was a little bit left that maybe some had just emerged. That could be the case. I don't know. So I'm going to level this one out. This one's small. The 2 that were triples were small. I think all of them are small. All right. I'll just come back out here when I come to check to see if that queen is there or not, and put the feed back on. There's no urgency here. The only reason I wanted to put a little lighter feed on right now is maybe keep the queen moving forward, because some of them colonies are small. But I got to remember, these Russians tend to be smaller colonies going into winter. But like that one was 3 frames on top, 3 frames on bottom. It was chimney type, so I had 6 frames of bees. So if I had 6 frames in the bottom, that'd be fine. I mean, and yeah, some of them are in the tops, but they're heavy. So I don't know, good and heavy. You ever got that weird uneasy feeling? Something uneasy about it out here. I don't know, just one of them, hey, just want to keep an eye on these. I don't know. They were good and healthy coming in. They were good and strong. So I don't know. There was like 2 of them out here that weren't as strong as the others, but they were fine. So hey, we're just gonna keep on keeping on and see what happens. But yeah, we'll check and see if that queen made it or not. That's the next thing to do. Oh, nice foggy, cool morning. Mid-50s, beautiful, beautiful. I don't know, 50 to 55, somewhere in there. So I guess it's close to the mid-50s now. Beautiful. But that means it's the next day. And that's because I didn't finish this video. I just didn't finish this video yesterday. And that's because you go in and you get to the house, you get home, you see that you have got to get some candle wax done so you can make a few candles for the next day at the market because you forgot to make the 3 you wanted to make, and then you start making that, and before you know it, you're twiddling with something in there. Then I'm moving the feed around, and before you know it, you don't even get the feed in the buckets and the buckets on the hives. So where are we at here? Let's see. We got yesterday, we dealt with, oh, that's what I did. So I left my out yard and went to another little out yard where I got a few hives, and I found a nuke that was completely dry, bone dry. And I gave them a frame or 2 of honey. So I guess in the dearth, they were growing, and then went into the dearth and then ate up the honey. Didn't put much of nothing in for the goldenrod. Have dwindled down some, not much, but by a frame of bees. They were a solid 4 frame of bees. Now they're 3 frame of bees, which is about right. And you know, when it's said and done, they didn't put anything in for goldenrod, or they consumed it all. That wasn't a huge colony. That was a swarm I caught somewhere. I don't even remember where I caught that little swarm. I just put it out there because I need somewhere to put it. I'm not so sure they got any kind of good genetics, you know. And I've been saying that a lot in a few videos about that. There is something to that. There is something to bees that don't ever want to take off and grow. I mean, and when I say genetics, we can change the queens. And in spring, I would. We change queens, we fix problems a lot of times. I mean, 99% of the time, I would say, because, you know, that's the genetics right there. That's who's putting in the genetics. Her and whatever drone she made it with. But when you're late like this, you don't requeen. And that's why I don't nurture them, you know. And even in the spring, I see what they're going to do first, and then I'll requeen them. But I don't nurture them if they're tiny. You know, you see what they're going to do. And that's a sign of bad genetics when they can't bulk up at all, or they're sick. They could be sick too now, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not always genetics, but a lot of times it's genetics. They can't bulk up, they don't seem to grow, they just flatline and stay where they're at and just barely maintain. That's another thing. Bottom line is can't manage their hive, you know, can't manage their colony. And that's where the genetics are bad, and when it's this late in the season, you don't fool with it. All that said, to tell you, I went out there and realized it was dry, and I did throw one of those Hive Alive bag feeders on there, and now it's 50 degrees, so I hope it didn't leak in on top of the little bit of bees it's clustering. It's 3 solid frames, but we'll give them that feed and see what happens. I didn't show you that, I didn't video it. I was over it. It's at a buddy's house, and you know, he had them there. So, you know, those bag feeders are pretty nice if you need them in a pinch. After reflecting and reviewing, those things are pretty much a 2-to-1 mixture. So that's good for now. They may not be quite as thick as 2-to-1, but they're definitely not a 1-to-1. If they are, well, it's beyond me. It ain't like my 1-to-1 that I make. And they do have the supplement in them, of course. So that can only help a little colony that's, you know, just getting along. And they didn't look unhealthy or anything, and they did grow. They grew from a teeny itty bitty little 2-frame swarm up to like a 4-frame swarm as the honey flow was finishing up and as they went into the dirt. So it's not like they can't grow. So I think they just ate themselves out of stores and dwindled, so we'll see. But that stuff is pretty neat. It's pretty convenient. Is it something that somebody's going to feed a lot of all the time? No, I don't think so. Is it something I would buy to make sure I, you know, in bulk, to have hundreds and hundreds of them to feed? No, for me, I wouldn't do it. But they are pretty handy. They're pretty neat. Let's get in here. We need to get this syrup poured in these buckets. So there's my turbo feed. Now, this is turbo feed, which is a inverted fructose glucose mixture, just like nectar. So we're going to feed that to them. I know everybody was waiting for that big mess. Hey, I would have been the same way. I would have been waiting too. But honestly, I thought I was going to make a big mess. It's a little smaller opening here. Could take the whole bucket out there, but Why carry this? Alrighty, that wasn't so bad. Alright, we're gonna do some feeding and we're done. So all in all, folks, I don't have a bunch of really light hives. These two are the lightest. I got about 3 at the other yard that are somewhat light, may not make it. I got 1 nuke that I fed yesterday that was empty. And I have 1 nuke in the town yard that it's pushing it to be a full winter full of food. So maybe either throw a bucket on there or just wait and throw some fondant on there. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Other than that, everybody's heavy. This yard especially, all these hives are so doggone heavy. They may even have too much to where I'm pulling honey off come spring. Alright, let's do this. That'll do them. One thing I noticed about hive top feeders in the fall, like in the spring, obviously, I know things aren't flowing good. You can still have a lot of robbing in the spring, but in the fall, wow, if they get any bit in this thing, the robbers were literally, look, see, we're gonna have to do something different. So how did they get in? This feeder might be compromised. We're gonna have to change it. I've got the Man Lake ones too though, but I like these better. We're gonna have to change this. I don't like that. Let me get my jacket. We're gonna have to change this. How many times have I told you that? We're gonna have to change this. All right, I'm back. Throw a quick veil on just because, you know, you never know how the bees are gonna act sometimes. But where did they get through? That's the question. Or did they get in on the top? I just don't know. What I was saying earlier as I found this, and it could have very well came in on top, but what I don't want to do is drown a bunch of bees. But in the fall, it just seems like the bees really tend to drown more than in the spring. And the robbing frenzy seems to be worse. And I'm wondering if they're, like, where in the world are they pushing through at? Or did these get in on the top? Let's see. I'm gonna look at this lid. I mean, you know what? I bet that's where they got in, right there. Let's see if I can make this fit better, because I like these a little better for this than these hive tops. Either way, I'm gonna have to scrape them, because it's weird in the fall. They just seem to get in there really bad. I just feel like it's just not sealing down good enough. And these are bees from elsewhere. Glad I put a veil on there, buzzing my head now. They had to, they couldn't have come in. There's nowhere for them to have come in through here. So I am going to definitely, granted these are cracked on the sides, but I just don't, the box is true. Very true. It's never even been used more than a year. This is an old Man Lake lid. Yeah, that's what's happening. I'm just gonna get a better lid. I like these feeders a little better for what I'm doing with this particular colony. All right, well, we're gonna go get another lid. All righty, let's see how this does. The reason I'm pretty sure they came in like that was when I looked yesterday after I put this on, bees were investigating this box, trying to figure out what was in here. So this is a nice level lid, scraped all the propolis off, good seal. So if they're in this syrup when I feed it, then I know that they got in from the feeder. So we're gonna do a ½ gallon in here, or give or take. I also think these have a more uniform, when it comes to moisture and this thin plastic, they have a more uniform coverage, because these things will generate condensation in the colony, in the hive, because of the plastic and the cool, and that's one of the dangers of feeding the liquid in these when it's still cool. So now you understand all my rationales. The only thing left to do today is throw on some buckets on those singles way at the very end, and then everybody else is heavy. Even that one single I got over there, it's got a super on. I'm gonna take off later, and I'll replace that with some fondant probably in December, but they're heavy. Like that single is bulked up good. All right, y'all see that one right there? I got a brick stain on that one and that one. I listed them as top heavy, meaning the bottom has not got much honey at all in them, but the top is heavy. Real heavy, meaning my bees are probably all up in the top. So those I have to watch to make sure, and I got a couple out there at the other yard. I need to be careful because if the bees are already at the top, they'll eat through those stores. The other ones, the honey's at the top and the bees, you know, they're still heavy throughout the hive, meaning I probably got a cluster down there, and you can feel that, you know, you guys know what I'm talking about. Like you can feel when it's just top heavy or when the whole thing is heavy. So basically what we've done is we've just been all around the apiary. Kind of like the title says. We went and checked some, tried out those baggies. I think they work pretty cool. I got to find a better way to puncture them. Something sharp and easy just to pop, 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 maybe 4 holes and that's it. Fed one that y'all didn't see. Threw a bag out there. Didn't like what I seen with the shims. Need to add some bigger shims out there so we have room. Feeding these, checked weights, just miscellaneous things all over the place. Everybody's heavy for the most part, so that's really all. Pretty satisfied with what we're seeing. Had a few concerns out the yard out there with the package bees. I couldn't keep calling them package bees because that's what they were, but a few concerns out there, but nothing major, just smaller nests. Our winters are okay for that, and gonna just throw some feed at some of those while we're still warm and then watch them through the winter. Bee season is wrapping up and we're working on planning for the next year. All right, guys. Well, look, that's it. It's been all over the place, all around the apiary. I really do appreciate all y'all watching. It's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike and I do bees. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week and may God bless you. We'll see y'all later.